So if you want to blow through that savings real quick, there's quite a few ways you can do it. Luckily, I'm here to take care of you. If you're planning on coming to Thailand, whether you're planning on moving here or whether you're planning on coming on just like a quick little vacation, there are quite a few ways you can waste your money. But luckily, you've got me today, and I'm gonna break down 8 different ways that you can really pinch the pennies that you need to so you can save and be here for maybe a little bit longer than you intended. Let's go. This video is definitely intended for travelers or people that are moving here that might be on a pretty strict budget. When as soon as you get here, you might be wanting to save some money for the clubs, you might be wanting to save some money for your ticket home. But if you're just coming to blow money, this might not be the video for you. If you're looking for a video on how to spend a bunch of money, go ahead and check this one out right here. But let's get into it. So first things first, you're gonna need a place to live, right? You're gonna need a condo, townhouse, whatever it may be, whatever you're looking for. My biggest piece of advice that I give to a lot of people is don't book your entire stay before you get here. A lot of times things can be different, might not be the pictures that you saw, the location might not be exactly correct. What I always recommend to everybody is jump on some Facebook groups for the city that you're living in, look for some rentals that way. Try to avoid Airbnb if possible. It tends to be a bit more expensive than all the other apps. Check out Agoda, check out Booking, check out Trip.com. I always recommend come here for about 2 weeks, book a condo for about that long, then you can kind of cruise around, really get a better experience of where you're staying, and that'll give you a better idea of where you really want to live. And generally, a lot of the times, if you go in and talk to these places that you're interested in person, you're probably going to get a better deal than you might have gotten if you booked it online. Another huge one, food. So when you first get here, you're gonna be off the plane. You'll probably be a little bit jet lagged. Things might smell a little funky. You might not be ready for Thai food just yet. So don't really beat yourself up for the first week or so. Get your comfort food, get comfortable, get rested up. But as soon as you're acclimated, I definitely recommend, if you're trying to save money, be at the markets as much as you can, eat as much street food as you can. You can find a lot of these things that you find in restaurants at certain markets. Travel around, go to different ones, and this will end up saving you a lot of money. If you do have a night where you want to go sit down at a restaurant, do your best to get out of the touristy areas, at least off Beach Road. Get to places that are a little more local, and it's always going to be cheaper for you at those spots. It's really funny on the beach. You can walk into one place, they'll be charging 150 baht for pad thai. Then you go a block up the road and you can get one for 40 baht. So do your exploring and do your best to be outgoing and try as much Thai food as possible. This is always going to be the cheaper way to eat. Even when it comes to cooking at home and stuff, I know we like to save a lot of money like that in the States. But here, going out to eat, especially if you're at the markets and stuff, is generally gonna be cheaper, even if you cook at home. The next necessity, transportation. Obviously, you're gonna need to get around the city no matter where you are. If you're in Pattaya, I definitely recommend doing your best to get close to one of the baht bus routes. This will save you exponential amounts of money. It's only 10 baht per ride. They will take you all over Pattaya, and it is probably the most convenient and budget-friendly option, especially here in Pattaya. If you do end up being a little bit farther away from the baht bus, or maybe you don't have a cheap mode like that for the city that you're in, definitely download the Bolt app, which is essentially the Uber for Thailand. These taxis will always be cheaper than the taxi guys you see on the street. Sometimes with those guys you can get a good deal, but most of the time it's gonna be at least 30% more, maybe even double from what Bolt is gonna charge. So that is your best way if you don't have access to the cheaper public transportation that might be available wherever you're at. Okay, big one. If you're gonna listen to anything, listen to this one. If you are planning on using your card, so say you have most of your money on your debit card, you're planning on using ATMs here. Number one, double check and make sure that your bank or that specific debit card does not charge international fees. There are tons of them in the States, especially, that don't charge international fees. You can look at Chime, Citibank, these are all great cards. On top of that though, if you are withdrawing American currency in Thailand from an ATM, you're gonna be charged 220 baht transaction fee or like a conversion fee every time you pull from the ATM. So take your budget into account and hit the ATM as little as possible. And another way around this, if you do take your debit card and your passport and you go into a bank branch and do your withdrawal that way, you can avoid this fee. Also, there's certain banks that will return these fees at the end of the month. I know Goldman Sachs does that, as well as a few others, so that's definitely something you want to look into if you're planning on using your card frequently. Another thing that's pretty common in Thailand, that's not too common in the States, is if you are renting long-term, even if that only be for a month through Airbnb, anything like that, a lot of the times these places are gonna charge you for electric. So a big piece of advice if you wanna save on your electric bill is run your air conditioner the least amount possible. I don't run mine during the day at all. Water in Thailand is actually very cheap compared to in the States. So during the day, if you get a little warm, just take a cold shower. This will save you a lot of money over time. Some places can be really expensive, and to kind of piggyback off that, when you do go into these places and you're gonna be charged electric, make sure you check and ask how much they are charging per unit for electric. And then when you first get there, make sure you just snap a picture of the meter real quick. Then when you're leaving, you can check the meter again and you can make sure that you are not getting dinged on the price. This is also public information. If you look online, the electricity authority here in Thailand, they list what specific buildings pay per unit. So sometimes if you rent an Airbnb, they might double that on you, and then they'll take the extra. So just double check if you feel like you're getting reamed, but your electric will be much easier to swallow if you don't run your aircon every day, all day. One that took me a while to figure out, and lucky you've got me, so you are getting this one for free, is when it comes to shopping. So say you get here and you realize you didn't necessarily pack the right clothes, you want a different pair of shoes, something like that, so you head to one of the night markets. My best piece of advice when you go there is, one, there's always room to haggle at these places, but two, always go in and kind of look at everything before you decide on anything. One, a lot of places will be selling the same stuff. If you find a pair of shoes that you like here, it's very likely that another person down the way is gonna have the same shoes. Going hand in hand with that, a lot of these vendors are essentially, they wanna compete with each other. They'll see if this guy's selling these pair of shoes for 800 baht, okay, well, I'll ask 700. So always cruise around, ask prices on everything, get an idea of what you're doing, and then cruise back through. A lot of these markets can be really good for other stuff as well, not just clothes. Maybe you need like household items, stuff like that. Always cruise around, look at everything first, and then decide. There's been a few times I walk in, I see a t-shirt that I like, I buy it, only to walk down the rest of the row and realize there's another guy at the end selling it for 200 baht less. So make sure you get a good lay of the land before you make any decisions. Kind of piggybacking off our last point, now say if you need to buy the essentials, say you get to your condo, you don't like the towels, or maybe you need a better broom, something like that. I always say try to avoid 7-Eleven for these things as much as you can. Now 7-Eleven's super convenient if you just need a little something to get you through a couple days, but if you're gonna be here for a while, go ahead and hit up one of the big box stores. Big C, Macro, places like that. One, you can get food there generally cheaper. It's kind of like bulk items, kind of like Costco in America. But all the household stuff, say you need shampoo, toothpaste, things like that, 9 times out of 10, they will always have something that's buy one, get one free. Now, at this point, we're talking pennies, but after a while, you know, this stuff does start to add up. And if you're trying to save up for other things, or you want a little bit more of a cushion at the end of the month, definitely recommend going over there to grab all that stuff, deodorant, you know, all the essentials. Go there, get you a buy one, get one free, buy some stuff in bulk, and it will save you from trips to 7-Eleven 2 or 3 times a week, and of course, keep money in your pocket. And finally, the coup de grace of wasting money in Thailand, drinking. Okay, I tell everybody, if you are not a drinker, if you don't like to go out, having beers with the boys is not really one of your things, you're already married, something like that, you don't really need to worry about your budget here. If you're not planning on going out or traveling or anything like that, you can live here for next to nothing. But I'm sure you know, in your country, dating is expensive. Dating is expensive here as well. So if you're planning on going out with girls, things like that, if you're planning on going to the club, but you want to save money, I would say just avoid the club, period. Just don't even try. Yes, it's gonna be cheaper than it is in the States, but that can almost inhibit you to spend more because you're like, oh, well, it's only you know, $3 a beer. So instead of having my normal 4, I'll have 8, and then you're in the same boat. If you do want to go hang out with some girls, try to be clever, man. Try to be original. Look for some ideas that might not be as expensive. Day on the beach, little island trip, something like that. It'll definitely save you money. It'll save you liver, and it will keep you out of trouble. All right, guys, I hope this video gave you some insight on how to save some money in Thailand. It's about time for me to go get some lunch, go home, relax a little bit. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning into the channel. If you'd like to support, all that information will be in the description below. And as always, I hope you guys have a great day. We'll catch you in the next one.